All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to see all of you. Welcome to The Hague. Welcome to this beautiful auditorium. It's nice to see so many warm and friendly faces here. We have gathered here for a joyous occasion, a very important moment. I also want to acknowledge the fact that there are a lot of international guests here, so a warm welcome to you. Thank you for making the time. Thank you for making the effort. And also, it's not just here that people have gathered to be at this event. We also have people watching the live stream. So anytime you see me looking up and waving at the camera, it's because we are also live streaming this event to the people who are watching from the convenience of their own bedroom, I don't know, their offices, their playgrounds, who knows where they are. But again, thank you so much also for joining us. And I'm sure that if there is one thing you need right now to make sure that you join this conversation, it would be a hashtag. So we formed a committee. We organized many meetings on what this hashtag should be. And we thought long and hard, and we came to the conclusion it's going to be hashtag UNESCO Chair AI. So if you want to join the online conversation, many meetings, believe me. It's hashtag UNESCO Chair AI. Also for you, if you want to make sure that your friends are jealous that you are here, and they are not, use that hashtag if you want. Also, one good thing to know is that besides the live stream, we also have some cameras here in the auditorium. We have the videographers over there who are making the after movie. We have a very professional photographer, he's over there. So that way we have a nice memorabilia, a nice way to look back at this event. If for some reason you say, you know what, I am in disguise or I am camera shy, I don't want to be in these photos, please let us know. We'll make sure that that gets taken care of. And also, the good thing about live streaming this event, we're also recording it. So if you want to rewatch it, relive it, or you want to tell your friends, your colleagues about this event, you can point them at this recorded live stream. We'll make sure that it is on demand. And we'll keep that up for 1 year. I think in digital terms, for AI, there's like a lifetime. So for 1 year, we can do that. As I said, it is a joyous event. It is an important event because after all, it is the UNESCO inaugural conference on artificial intelligence and data science for society. Not and society, for society. And moments from now, we'll be able to listen to the vision or the inaugural speech on this topic by the UNESCO chair on AI and data science, our friend, our colleague, our professor, Lampros Stergioulas. Almost Stergioulas. I'm doing my best. Give him a big round of applause, mister. Awesome. So besides the keynote address, besides the inaugural address, we also have panel sessions. This is why we have these comfy chairs here on the floor. We have keynote speeches. We have videos sent in. So it's a packed program. My name is Jim Stoltz. I'll be the master of ceremony. People are falling off their chair already. That's good. As the master of ceremony, you know that in an academic setting like this means that I'm in charge of time. So everyone else can speak and be inspiring, and I'll be the bad guy saying, okay, that's very inspiring, but we have to move on, time's up, so that we end on time to get to the, as you know, the most important part of any conference. The borrel, yes, drinks. Thank you so much. Yeah, yes, it's an international concept that a lot of people know. Right, so without further ado, that is the program, that is the reason why we are here, and now there is one person in particular that I would like to invite to the stage, a stage that she is very familiar with, because she is the chair of the executive board of The Hague University of Applied Sciences. Please give her a warm welcome, Dr. Elisabeth Minnemann.
Thank you, Jim, our wonderful host today. Welcome. This is my job today feels a bit like the warm-up act before Lampros comes, to welcome you at the Hague University of Applied Sciences. And I welcome all of you, but some people I'm mentioning now and others you see. And I start with Tanya and friends of Lampros, Tanya, his wife. Great that you are here. Not all the family can be here, but it has to do with age that would prevent them from listening a whole afternoon. Great that you can be with us. Some other guests I want to mention is the chair of the Dutch UNESCO Commission, Dr. Kathleen Ferrier. A warm welcome. Then I understood that we get an online connection with Tawfik Yelassi. Is he online listening to us or only I say hello to the screen? Dr. Banu Nurpane, Program Manager for ICT and Sciences and Open Access UNESCO. Professor Maji Ovda, Dean, Faculty of Data Science and UNESCO Chair in Data Science of Sustainable Development, Arab American University, Palestine. It was a long title, sorry for the hiccups in between. Dr. Aisha Nasir, Director of Research, Huawei. And Professor Tilal El-Dabi, Professor of Business Analytics and Digital Innovation, University of Bradford. As you can see, the guests that I mentioned already give us an idea of how the afternoon will be. It's a mix of different stakeholders. Of course, it's a UNESCO conference, but also academic colleagues and colleagues from the fields we are working with. And today, everything is about data science and AI and about Lampros' view on that. And there's just not yet a program writing my speech in AI, so I'm waiting for that. So I did it myself, and I started with telling you a bit about Lampros and then a bit about our University of Applied Sciences. And many of you know Lampros, but I found out it's always good to have a refresher because then you have this moment of, wow, this is all he did. How old is he? He's quite young, but there comes a long list and I made it shorter. And so I couldn't put, because the Lampros CV is so big, if I read it all out loud, then I will fill the whole afternoon. But some highlights. Lampros has studied informatics and physics in essence. And he did his master and a PhD in electrical engineering in Liverpool. And then he went on in the UK as a chair professor in business analytics and computer science in Surrey. And Lampros has published more than 200 scientific publications, and I hope that many of you have read a lot of them. He was also a principal researcher in more than 30 EU projects, a coordinator of 4 big EU research projects, and I could go on and on, but I stop with these impressive numbers and to jump to now. Lampros Stergioulas is affiliated to the Hague University of Applied Sciences as a professor of data science and AI. At the faculty IT and Design, he leads the Data Science Research Group. But he is also a member of the Research Center Health Innovation, and that already shows the interdisciplinarity, I would say, of the subject and the gentleman himself. And since January 2022, we are very proud to say that he is the holder of the UNESCO Chair, Artificial Intelligence and Data Science for Society. As Jim already said, it's not and, it's for. It's for the benefit of us. Why does that fit so well with our university? I tried to explain that in some short descriptions of the Hague University of Applied Sciences. We are an international-oriented knowledge institution. Our mission And we just brought out a new strategic plan. So the mission is dear to our hearts because we reflected on it in the last months, is to contribute to a sustainable and just world through interdisciplinary education and research, and in co-creation with regional and international partners. I said it in the beginning, it's important to the diversity of the stakeholders. That's what I mean with co-creations. We are never alone in this as a knowledge institution. We are a UNESCO university, and if you haven't seen it when you entered the building, you will see it when you leave the building. Next to the doors on the right side, you can also see we are a UNESCO school, and it is rooted in our mission. This is what we are. And we also recognize that the next years are very important transition years to achieve our goal of having impact on a more sustainable and more just world. And we do that through our research, through our education, with our researchers and our students. If I look at education, our graduates will be and are trained professionals capable of working across disciplines and creatively responding to changes and challenges. That sounds big, but that's what you learn if you study with a broad mind what we achieve. Secondly, we are an inclusive community, and that means we offer all members of our community opportunities to meet people that we normally might not have, and that enriches our perspective. And thirdly, and that is the topic of today, we have impact through our practice-oriented research, where we work in collaborative learning communities that stimulate innovation and development of new knowledge. And in many topics, we strive to be a thought leader. One of those topics is AI and data science. And of course, I cannot claim to be a thought leader in AI because there are many more. I looked it up. Since 1955, we are working with artificial intelligence, and our school only exists for 35 years, so a bit modesty is needed. But what we are looking at is the social and human dimension of artificial intelligence. And as we said in the beginning, the impact for society. What does it mean? And I'm really strongly convinced, and I want to make that point here again, that a University of Applied Sciences is exactly the place where you should talk about artificial intelligence and where the research should take place, because it's all about the application for two reasons. A, many AI-related innovations are applications. Look at Dutch company Booking.com. It's the application of the learning system that brings a new business model. It's not the technology. And we, as a University of Applied Sciences, we are about application. And the second reason is we always work in our community. We don't do research for the sake of doing research, no l'art pour l'art. It's always connected to a community. So when like this UNESCO chair has the title, when it's about looking at the impact and at the benefit of society, then you should work in a knowledge institution that is connected so much in the community. If I go, so this is the reason why TUAS, the Hague University of Applied Sciences, is the place for this chair. And now tiny look at the future, and Lampros will give us more about this. His work will all be about how we can get AI and data used in practice. As I said, he has worked in the UK before, and his topics stretch from government, industry collaborations to health innovation, and it's It's relevant topics for everybody, but especially here, because The Hague is the city of peace and justice. So with this relevant work, through you, we contribute to this better, more just, sustainable work. And I'm very glad that through the UNESCO chair, we are part of a big knowledge network that will support us in this, and we are very glad about this link. And I want to mention one example for our networking highlights. We just signed a memorandum of understanding with the Joseph Stephan Institute, and they stand for, they represent UNESCO where it comes to worldwide promotion of research in the field of AI. And of course, on the other hand, I talked a lot about our research, but we are also one of the 2 universities of applied sciences in the Netherlands who have just started a bachelor in AI. And you can only start a bachelor in a new field when you have the experts in the house. So there is a strong connection between our research and our education. And this bachelor is new. And what we see and what we hoped is to find a new population of students, not the classic IT students, but a group who thinks broader and is interested in the broader picture of the impact of innovation. Let me conclude by once saying that we are very proud to welcome you, Lampros, to our university. Our first welcome was when you came, but today is the day when, with your inaugural speech, you are officially the member of our research community. And of course, in our conversation before, I asked Lampros, and this is always such an easy question to ask and more difficult to answer, what are your ambitions for the next 5 years? He did not hesitate. He had the answer immediately. And he said, I'm reading it, he wants to make sure that as TUAS and as The Hague, we are known for human-centric knowledge and the use of data science and AI, and to be an important hub for applied and human-centric AI approaches. I think this is a fantastic ambition. We have seen you already working on this, and today you will explain more of your work yourself in your speech, but also by inviting the stakeholders who will highlight the different aspects. Lampros, congratulations and good luck and inspiration for your speech. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Minnemann. That's a great way to open the event, to really set the scene. And it's now time for a special video, a video that was sent in by Dr. Tawfik Jelassi. Of course, many of you know him. He's the Assistant Director General for Communication and Information at UNESCO. So let's look at this video.
Excellencies, Secretary General of the National Commission for the Netherlands, Rector of the Hague Technical University of Applied Sciences, faculty members, students, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to thank you for inviting me to this official launch of the UNESCO Chair in AI and Data Science for Society. My congratulations to Professor Lampros Stergioulas on being chosen as the UNESCO Chair in AI and Data Science for Society at the Hague Technical University of Applied Sciences. The communication and information sector of UNESCO looks forward to a fruitful cooperation with him. Over the last century, data collection has rapidly evolved from a manual labor-intensive approach to technology-driven, capital-intensive methods. Since the year 2000, several technology companies have been exploring the concept of big data. Large and complex data sets are mined for information and used in various ways, especially for business analytics and consumer insights. The Declaration of Principles, which came out of the 2003 World Summit on the Information Society, stated, I quote, "It is important to increase security and end the protection of data and privacy." As a result, concerns about database management and data privacy, as well as machine learning and business analytics, have become part of IT-based applications development and use. This is especially true now that the data is being collected in real time through satellites, through the internet, through surveillance cameras, mobile phones, and other connected devices. Data has become one of the most valuable resources for a wide range of stakeholders, fueling one of the most important emerging technologies, artificial intelligence. Ethical and high-quality data is critical for AI and other advanced digital technologies to bring about positive change. Furthermore, as the context for data openness and its ethical usage was brought to the fore for IT systems development, the world recognized the need for a better understanding and governance of these issues. At the 2021 General Conference of UNESCO, member states approved the recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence, as well as the recommendation on open science. Among other issues, the recommendation on the ethics of AI stated that, quote, "Safe and secure AI will be enabled by the development of sustainable, privacy-protective data access that foster better training and validation of AI models utilizing quality data." End of quote. Similarly, the recommendation on open science urged, quote, "governments to make efforts to foster capabilities towards open research data, both raw and processed, and accompanying metadata." End of quote. UNESCO chairs play an important role in assisting member states to raise awareness, improve understanding, and implement these recommendations for socio-economic and environmental gains. UNESCO chairs are essential in providing pathways to tackle urgent challenges and also in contributing to socio-economic development. The chairs help foster international collaboration, initiate research, and generate new ideas. In collaboration with other UNESCO chairs, the UNESCO chair at the Hague Technical University of Applied Sciences is already instrumental in building capacities and in scaling up human-centric open data. The Open Data Guidelines, which aim at giving insights into open data and a framework for opening their data to support AI applications, were conceptualized with the help of the chair. Before concluding, I would like to acknowledge Professor Lampros' efforts in establishing a conceptual framework for open solutions. These reflections greatly contributed to the successful panel which we had on this subject during the International Day for Universal Access to Information, celebrated this past September in Tashkent, Uzbekistan. Professor Lampros has been instrumental in bringing together other UNESCO chairs with similar specializations and in initiating a process of international inter-university cooperation and networking to strengthen institutional capacities through knowledge sharing and collaborative work. We look forward to working together and making this work plan become a reality. Thank you very much.
And you can applaud that. I'm sure that Dr. Stergioulas is watching the live stream and he's listening for the applause, so it's very much appreciated. Also, I think it says something about UNESCO that they care so much about today and about the cause, that there are so many representatives present also from UNESCO, and there's one in particular that I would like to invite. You can already see it on the screen. It's the chair of the Dutch UNESCO Commission, Dr. Kathleen Ferrier. Let's give her a warm welcome to the stage. Hello, Kathleen. How are you?
I'm very fine on this great day.
It is a
very
joyous
special
occasion,
day.
yes.
Yes.
Would you do us the honor and say some opening addresses, please? All right.
It's my honor. Dear guests, dear Lampros family, your family, it is an honor and a pleasure to be here today at the inaugural event for our UNESCO chair in Artificial Intelligence and Data Science for Society. The Netherlands Commission for UNESCO is delighted to strike up this enduring partnership with Lampros Stergioulas and the Hague University of Applied Sciences. Artificial intelligence systems are already being used all around the world, as we know, in almost all areas of people's daily lives. Therefore, there is no doubt that artificial intelligence will continue to change and to shape our societies like few technological innovations have done before. It often does so in ways that are beneficial. By applying deep learning algorithms, for instance, medical professionals can be assisted in interpreting CT scans. Another example are automatic subtitles, which are rapidly making films and TV series more accessible to non-native speakers and to people with hearing loss. In this way, artificial intelligence helps to promote intercultural dialogue. But the use of artificial intelligence have negative effects too. On social media, bots are spreading disinformation and even hate speech. The environmental impact of artificial intelligence is also a concern. While a robot hand may be able to solve a Rubik's Cube, the energy used in solving the task is equivalent to what a nuclear power plant produces over the course of 3 hours. Last year, UNESCO's 193 member states adopted the recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence. Because artificial intelligence is changing, not just the Netherlands, but the entire world, it was high time for a global ethical framework on artificial intelligence. The UNESCO recommendation takes a comprehensive look at the impact artificial intelligence systems can have on our societies and individuals, the impact it can have. It encourages member states and other AI actors to make sure that artificial intelligence applications have a positive impact on humanity and to take great care to develop and use tools that are in themselves already not a threat to fundamental human rights. Within this context, data and its openness will serve as fundamental inputs to open new frontiers for artificial intelligence, but also to ensure the transparency and ethical grounding of artificial intelligence solutions. And I'm really happy to note that the chair has already started to work with the communication and information sector of UNESCO to advance the frontiers of data and openness of data to foster stronger access to information. The recommendation takes a holistic approach, covering areas such as education, culture, labor, and health. Crucially, it stresses the importance of bringing together many different societal stakeholders when discussing the ethics of artificial intelligence. Only such an inclusive approach will guarantee that we develop applications that are credible, safe, and transparent. The chair of AI and Data Science for Society is ideally positioned to play a leading role in the uptake and the scaling on human-centric, fair, and open AI. It is part of an institution, the Hague University of Applied Sciences, which has been, and it was said already, a UNESCO school for over a decade. This means that the university is committed, like the chair, to the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. The chair seeks to promote human-centric applications and responsible practices. It focuses on 3 core issues: driving innovation in healthcare, advancing social innovation on topics such as the energy transition and smart cities, and developing AI-enabled and data-driven educational programs. Over the past year, the chair's international network has continued to expand as partnerships have been initiated with stakeholders in applied AI and data science in the Global South. In the Netherlands, the chair is, in some aspects, a pioneer. It was already said by Dr. Minneman. The Bachelor in Applied Artificial Intelligence and Data Science, which was launched this year, was the first of its kind in this country. And it should come as no surprise then that the chair has high ambitions. It is aimed at becoming a thought leader in the human dimension of artificial intelligence. Another goal is to develop an interdisciplinary research program that is state-of-the-art and practice-based. The Netherlands Commission for UNESCO is delighted that we have you, Lampros Stergioulas, as our chair in this field. We encourage his ambitions, and we will do our part in supporting Lampros in promoting responsible artificial intelligence practices and creating solutions that benefit society at large. As a chair, and it was already stressed by Dr. Minneman, he will join a network of 13 ambitious and motivated UNESCO chairs in the Netherlands, whose work spans the fields of, for instance, human rights, the conservation of heritage, sustainable development, and open education. But just as important is it that the chair is now part of a global UNESCO chairs network, comprised of over 900 chairs in 114 countries. A number of these chairs, as well as the team at UNESCO's headquarters in Paris, have a special interest in the ethics of artificial intelligence and will undoubtedly prove to be a valuable contact to the chair at the Hague University of Applied Sciences for the years to come. As I said at the start of my speech, artificial intelligence is all around us. Promoting responsible artificial intelligence practices that will bring us close to attaining the Sustainable Development Goals is therefore of the utmost importance. We look forward to supporting the chair's initiatives for practical artificial intelligence solutions that can be of benefit for the society at large. And we wish our new chair all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ferrier. And wow, we've really been setting up the scene. But now I think without further ado, it's time to hear from the man himself, or the chair himself, I should say, the UNESCO chair himself. The title of the address is Pursuing a Common Vision for Harnessing AI and Data Science for Society. Please welcome to the stage Professor Lampros Stergioulas.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Kathleen. I think you said it all. You captured the essence of the chair there in your presentation. There's not a lot of left for me to say, I feel. But I will go and present really the vision in more detail and what things are important to us, actually in probably a lower level, what you discussed. But I want to, first of all, welcome all of you today, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's really great to see you all here. Wat leuk dat zoveel mensen gekomen zijn. And I want to start with an overview. What I want to say, mainly it's about what it's all about, what is AI, what is data science, the mission and the vision, the aims of the chair, and we can elaborate a bit. Then we'll talk about the focus areas of the chair and UNESCO in particular. Very important for UNESCO vision and the Sustainable Development Goals. There are two concepts: the concept of ethics that actually has been really touched upon by Kathleen and Tawfiq, and also openness. Yeah? So ethics and openness are very central to what we do. And I would like to invite you all to partner with us for good reason, I hope. Okay, so what's the focus of our work? It's human-centered, practice-oriented data science and AI. Artificial intelligence has the potential to accelerate progress towards a better world. And if we believe that, there's a lot of hard work we need to do. Our work involves studying systems and problems to develop solutions. We use AI and data science to achieve better performance in complex systems. We support decision-making in a chaotic world to transform processes and strategy and whole organizations sometimes. And we use using data science and AI to support management, governance, and policy making. There are two key ingredients. There's quality data. The data is not really about quantity. Of course, we have big data, but of course, we want to have quality as well. Quality is very important. And the human perspective is important. People-centeredness, I mean, to think about the needs of the people, very important for the success. So what is it all about? What's applied science, applied data science? It's the development and application of methods, algorithms, and technologies for discovering meaningful patterns in data and gaining some useful insights, some useful knowledge to solve complex problems in the real world. Analytics is the process of developing insights from data, really, in simple words. And what is AI? It's all around us, as Kathleen has said just now. AI is the combination of computers and data to enable problem solving and decision making. Very simple definition. It's often interchangeably used with machine learning, but it's not the same. Machine learning is a subset of AI, but AI is wider than machine learning. And the concept of AI historically has evolved, of course. It started in the 50s, and it was about actually building computer models to understand the human brain, I mean, how our mind works. And today, when we talk about AI, we talk about actually smart systems that help us solve problems, and it's mainly to do with technology. It's engineering, right? So it has two aspects, science and engineering, artificial intelligence. And there are a lot of applications that we use every day that we are not even aware about, that we use AI consciously or unconsciously we use. And the process of using data and using artificial intelligence and making it useful for practical problems, for improving our lives, is actually starting with data. We process data, we build some more useful form of information, really, in the form of linked data, etc. And then we model this and we create some useful models that provide some real knowledge about the world around us. And hopefully with this knowledge that we gain from these useful models, then we can improve our decision making, we can do better evaluation, we can do better management, in a sense. So why data and AI? What has AI ever done for us, right? I mean, there's a lot of applications we use every day. It is all-pervasive. It is actually a revolution which is huge. It's actually greater than the Industrial Revolution, arguably. One really prime example of the success of AI has been in COVID recently. And you can see that AI has been used to accelerate the scientific discovery and to accelerate technological progress in, for example, developing tools to defend against COVID, like tests, like drugs, like vaccines. Okay? And this acceleration was really impressive. I mean, we were able to develop things in a matter of weeks instead of months or actually years previously. And this is all to do with the new data technologies and AI, saving literally millions of lives. So this is really a very positive side of AI. It's really important. It's a strong force for good in society. But we also have some risks of AI. And I don't know if, I think most of you will have heard of the child benefit scandal in the Netherlands, brought down the government at some point, right? This is a case where actually the algorithms were used in a bad way, in a sense. There's artificial intelligence can be used in good and bad ways, and actually the way it was used in this case was a bit dumb, in a sense. The algorithm that was used was biased, and mistakenly labeled parents as fraudsters, 2,000 parents, penalized parents who had foreign nationality, in this case. And about, more than 1,500 children were removed from their parents. And because of this high-profile case and other cases, really, the European Commission took the initiative to come up with a new AI Act. This is the first law in AI that we'll have. This is in draft form at the moment, but it's happening. Of course, another example of a negative impact when it's not really used in the right way, the data and AI, it's social bots and disinformation. I think Kathleen mentioned this, and we can see, for example, the case of a company, Cambridge Analytica, that started in 2013, reached its apex in 2016 with social media campaigns in many elections, and mostly in the US, 2016 election and Brexit. And also we can see there what happened, that personal data of millions of people were harvested and used to orchestrate really mass voter opinion manipulation, etc., which influenced, of course, the result of elections sometimes. So disinformation, social bot, that's a real risk. And So artificial intelligence all around us. Sometimes it feels not so artificial because it's so embedded in what we do. Sometimes it doesn't feel very intelligent either, actually. A bit like humans, I would say. But human-oriented AI is the way to go. I mean, how can we defend ourselves from these risks? And how can we develop AI systems that are responsible, I mean, how can we develop and trustworthy, incorporating social and ethical values? And of course, the big challenges of our times are really codified in this framework of 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. And the driving forces that can actually help us to make reality this vision of AI for development, and when I say of AI for development, it's mainly sustainable development, is ethics and openness. So we need these two very powerful concepts, actually, to make AI successful. There are a lot of opportunities at the moment to do that. First of all, it's very timely because the technologies are mature. There's a high need for this and slow adoption, especially in the government and public sectors. There's a huge scope for making real-world impacts and greater opportunities in big-scale collaborative funded projects. Also, we face some challenges. Slow capacity uptake, and inequalities, huge inequalities. If we can think for a moment how many people have access to internet. I mean, about 50%, or actually 40% of the people do not have access to internet. They don't have a digital life. They cannot really benefit from such technologies. And if we see, I mean, if you look at the landscape at the moment, we see that AI is the playground of big corporations and the super rich. And the governments and public organizations do not really have that much benefit or that much kind of innovation potential using these technologies at the moment. So how do you change that? Because the challenges here is lack of experts, lack of human capital, really, slow capacity, and the global digital divide, of course. So the journey so far with the UNESCO chair has been, our chair is one of the 13 chairs in the Netherlands. It's the first one in applied AI in the European Union, really. And we have started working the last 6 months. We worked together with UNESCO colleagues. It is built on the background of who has been a UNESCO university. But the chair will help us hopefully go into, kind of raise its contribution towards the theme of technology and society, which is very important for UNESCO, and the contribution to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. It is part of the Unitwin UNESCO network, and it covers both research and education, and in our case, also practice, which is very important. We have a strong focus on global collaboration, and also internally, the chair will play a role of facilitation, coordination, actually helping all the colleagues in issues to do with global applications of AI and data science. So we have these 3 pillars. In terms of research, we have these 3 pillars of application: health innovation, social innovation, and a side interest in education analytics. So we cover quite a lot of the Sustainable Development Goals, in particular number 3, which is good health and well-being. And this ties up well with the Health Innovation Center of Expertise focus at the moment. We have these 3 themes, and Sunny will be talking later more about this. And our interest as a UNESCO chair is mainly on prevention and public health, and also chronic diseases and general healthcare management. There's a great need for AI in health. Okay? Health The healthcare industry is one of the world's largest. The healthcare expenditure is rising by a year, but we don't really have good evidence-based planning for the resources we put in the healthcare. And by using data, there's masses of data around, but it's not used that much. We are not able to exploit it in the way we could. Having open data and AI would change that. Of course, not being able to exploit the power of data in healthcare results in massive waste. I mean, a lot of loss of time and efforts that are being lost. Now, what we have been doing with UNESCO in the last few months. First of all, a very strong focus is the ethics of data and AI. There is a recommendation of ethics of artificial intelligence that was released in 2021. We are involved in the implementation of these guidelines now because these are the guiding principles. These are the guiding light, really, in order to do things. So we have the ethical framework, but we are very far of actually achieving the vision. So what we need is actually to create frameworks of implementation, and this is what the next steps will be. Also at the EU level, there have been, in 2021, we have now the global AI frameworks, and we are really part of that. We have contributed in developing these 7 frameworks of the European Commission. And the 5 ethical principles, of course, for AI's beneficence, non-maleficence, so do good, don't do harm, really, autonomy, that humans should be autonomous in making decisions and not machines making decisions for them, really. Justice, so there is the benefits of AI actually are the same for all people, and explicability is important to actually support all the other principles because you need this intelligibility and trustworthiness of systems in order to actually adopt them. Otherwise, AI that's not ethical is not successful. Actually, we can build good business models on AI. And the other important concept that will help achieve this implementation of AI for good, AI for society, is openness. And there's a new initiative by the United Nations, which is Open Solutions, that includes open tools, open processes, open content. It comprises of some formative instruments at the moment that are there, like open education resources, open science. This has been very well documented now and published. Also, this includes open source software, and a new kid in the mix is really the open AI, and when I say open AI, I mean open algorithms, not the well-known company that's actually called also open AI. So how do you open up algorithms to support the free flow of information and knowledge, thereby informing responses to global challenges and further up? So the aim of open solutions is to enable a more sustainable approach to building information systems that can serve as a global public good. And together with our UNESCO colleagues, we are now setting off in building a new framework, conceptual framework for open solution that hopefully will enable this implementation at the end, to actually have the ethics framework that we have actually to go a bit further in actually implementing real solutions for the governments and also the citizens. So in this kind of vision, open government data is important. I want to say open government data is data that are freely available to anyone in open format, which will enable governments to improve accountability and transparency. And that's very important because having accountability and transparency in government, that helps actually in the development of a country in many ways. So there's a strong case for open government data, and it's really it's really the case that we need the triptych data, open, and government in one mix, and we have to be in the sweet spot in the middle, really. So how can open data support the Sustainable Development Goals? There are three things that we can do. We need open standards, because open standards will help actually share and exchange information in much more faster and bigger ways. We need some methods for impact assessment, because if we have some benchmarks or some criteria that are common to all, then we can compare, and then we can see how we are doing and how we can monitor our progress. And we need accountability, because governments being accountable in terms of their open data policies, this empowers the citizens. So citizens can be more trusting, and so they can actually contribute to this vision. Related to that, another new area of research that we have started together with UNESCO is opening up algorithms. And we are building a framework of principles. I think this is spearheaded by Bob over there with the new literature review now we are doing. And we have some principles. First of all, move the algorithm to the data. So the data must never leave its repository, and that's really important, actually, to respect human rights before performance, really. We need vetted algorithms that are actually reviewed and appraised by experts, human experts. And we should default to safe results. So when the results of an algorithm are really compromising human rights, then human rights are a priority and not really the performance of the algorithm. So we have come up with this AI policy framework for open government. And this has five pillars, and this hopefully will develop into a conceptual framework for governments and hopefully communities and citizens. So what kind of action we can take to promote openness? It is important to create networks of openness of data and AI. We have to implement openness of data. We have to implement guidelines for openness of data and AI, and we have to foster growth in terms of ecosystems, open technology ecosystems that will include open data standards, very important, and open data repositories, so that even the global south can benefit from these technologies. So we have started working on these issues, and we have also a lot of other projects to do with specific, as you can see here, Sustainable Development Goals. So most of our projects are related to one or more Sustainable Development Goals, and you can see actually more projects on our website. We work around a triple helix, really: research, education, and practice. You can see there the Teddy Bear project, which is actually a assistive technology for the elderly to empower them to live independently at home for longer. This is led by Hani over there. And these teams are based, actually, are mainly supported by students and are based in Zoetermeer, in the Data Innovation Factory. We have also very strong links with education. So we have synergies with all faculties, especially a special highlight is the new Applied AI and Data Science Bachelor, of course, which is the first of its kind. And it's really, it's really an achievement that Miriam, actually, the board over there, helped actually make reality. And also practice is very important. So we do have a lot of connections with industry and government. We have the Data Innovation Hub sitting in in Zoetermeer, and I'm really happy that we have people from Gemeente Zoetermeer here, from the city of Zoetermeer. So we have a big network of partners. We have national partners, we have international partners, and really welcome you all to join us in this common vision, which is mainly to contribute transforming lives, communities for the better. This is against the backdrop of THUAS as being a UNESCO school, and you can see here the plaque that Elizabeth was mentioning near the entrance of our university. We look forward to close collaboration with UNESCO Commission, with global players, and I can see a lot of colleagues from these partners here, and international players, particularly from the developing countries. The team, the research group, they're sitting over there, actually, and you can see them in the poster sessions later over coffee. Please contact us, actually, to do things together, if we can, through social media or through the contact details here. And that's my last slide. I want to say thank you. I have been, very humbled by you being here, really. And I want to thank the THUAS colleagues and the UNESCO colleagues and all our partners across the globe, especially the international partners that have supported wholeheartedly the chair and its vision from the start, even from the application stage. So I really want to say a big thank you for that. And also I want to say a big thank you for all the people that contributed to this event here. And you know who you are, actually. So thank you. Thank you all, mainly. There. And also last thanks to my family, who have put up with my academic lifestyle. And it's not easy. And my wife, Tanya, thank you for being here, although it has not been easy even today. So, thank you all.
Such a modest professor you are. Well done, that was great. And also you managed to thank everyone in this room, which is also quite an accomplishment. You feel relieved now? Are you relaxed?
Well, a bit more.
A bit more, yes. Okay. This went really well, yes. So just out of curiosity, I know that Dr. Miniman sort of told us your story, how you got here. Tell us how it is for a Greek demigod like yourself to come here in windy Netherlands, in rainy The Hague. How was the transition?
Well, I came from England. I think I'm from
No, that's right. Via England, yes. So you were used to the rain.
I'm used to the rain, and it has been fun from the start. I mean, I remember the first day we came, we just moved with all the boxes around us, etc. And we said, this is no country to walk. Actually, walking is really not very practical in this, and we need to do something. And we have little children. We actually, the first day, I think we went to Marktplatz and we bought a Backfits. And, and everybody enjoyed it, and the kids enjoyed the experience. And it has been like that. I mean, there were some really enjoyable things about our life in the Netherlands.
Right.
I mean, a lot of difference sometimes. I mean, you don't really have a bicycle in London, right? And you do use a bicycle here, even in big cities.
Yes. Yeah. So how do you come here, by bike also, or do you come by car?
Today by car.
Okay. Well, your excuse for now. We could listen for hours, but there is a program, and as I said, I'm in charge of time, so I think we're almost going to go for the coffee break. And you mentioned that at the bar at the coffee, there are these posters.
Yeah. Yep.
Which
And you can see poster session as well.
That's the poster session. And these are posters of running projects right now, right? That are
Yeah,
very
some of the projects that I showed up there, but also you can see with the posters. I think some members of my team will be there to meet people and discuss, and just feel very welcome, very very encouraged to do so.
Awesome. So this session was about you, the vision, the why. After the coffee break, we have these wonderful chairs. These are not UNESCO chairs. These are sitting chairs, right? And we have the panelists talk more in practice and sharing practical examples. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, one more big round of applause for Professor Lampros Stergioulas. Well then, so this is your cue for a short break. Have some coffee, stretch your legs, and be back in your seats at 2:50. Thank you very much. Please take your seats. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on time. Wink, wink. No, I know. I put myself in a difficult spot by saying that I was in charge of time. That is, of course, mission impossible. But for now, we're doing great. Let's get back to the program, shall we? Before the break, we've spoken about AI for humanity. And now this session is about getting a bit more practical, like, okay, what are the examples? What are the best practices? So what better way than to start with a video that does exactly that? It was sent in by the Leiden Universitair Medisch Centrum, LUMC. Let's take a look at the video.
Today we are here in the skin laboratory at the Hague University of Applied Sciences. And it is here that I work with my colleagues from Health and Innovation on different projects. One of these projects are aimed at the use of paramedics in the healthcare industry to see if they can early detect skin cancer and thus relieve the pressure that is on the healthcare profession at the moment.
It's important to early and correctly diagnose skin cancer to prevent the escalation of skin cancer in order to relieve the pressure on the affordable healthcare system and the workload within this system. This research tackles this problem by training skin therapists and general practitioners in recognizing specific features of skin cancer and how to interpret them.
We used Bayesian statistics to analyze the data. So far we could actually show that both GPs and skin therapists in second-line care setting improve diagnosis after training. In the future we can also look in first-line care to see if skin therapists also in that setting can improve diagnosis by using a data science and AI approach.
I would say, well done. That's a great video that shows the potential of AI for good. And it's not that doctors are complaining. No, doctors are actually using the technology to do better for their patients. What a great example. So as you can see, we've lined up the chairs. And to kickstart the first panel session, we've asked Sanne de Vries, here with us, to give like an introductory, to link the speeches from before the panel, before the break, till now. So Sanne, if you please be so kind to walk up the Walk of Fame towards the podium. And Sanne de Vries is director of the Center for Expertise of Health Innovation here at THUA. So give her a big round of applause so we can start. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. As Elisabeth already told us, Lampros is not only part of the Faculty of IT and Design, but he is also a member of the Center of Expertise Health Innovation. So I will tell a little bit more about the Center of Expertise and Lampros' role in it and the role of data science for public health and healthcare. In our Center of Expertise, we focus on developing, evaluating and implementing social innovations and technological innovations to improve the health and the quality of life of our residents. And we focus, Lampros already showed it as well, we focus on 3 themes: prevention through nutrition and physical activity, inclusive physical activity and sports, and long-term healthcare, housing and welfare. And we think by using data science techniques, AI, we can accelerate progress, as Lampros told. We can improve the impact of our work and finally improve the health of our residents. In our Center of Expertise, we have 9 different research groups, all focusing on these 3 themes and eventually the positive health of our residents. And data science can be used in many ways, for example, to screen or diagnose for certain disabilities or diseases, as was shown in the example of skin therapy. It can be used to predict or detect target groups or subpopulations that are at risk. We gather a lot of data, and it can be used to predict or detect them earlier and give them a suitable intervention or treatment. It can be used to monitor trends and progress, to select the most suitable intervention and not use a one-size-fits-all approach, but make data-driven decisions, but also very important value-based and ethical decisions about which treatment or intervention is most suitable for that person. It can be used to evaluate interventions in a smarter way than mostly done, and to benchmark, to compare between neighborhoods or schools or hospitals, and to see what can be improved. Some examples, when we look at the 3 teams of our Center of Expertise, well, there are many purposes and many questions we have in the research group and from the partners we collaborate with. For example, you can think of improving the methods to assess dietary intake. I think we all know that self-reports, well, just show part of the reality. Many people do not know what they exactly eat or the amount they eat. So it would be wonderful if we can use images, pictures, photos, and well, estimate based on pattern recognition or imaging techniques how much they eat of which product. And then, well, give them advice or detect the most suitable intervention. Or to train models, for example, that predict which children are at risk. We are gathering a lot of data about the motor skills of children in our center, and it would be wonderful if we can detect them earlier and help them well, to overcome their problems and not underdevelop the motor skills. Or we gather also a lot of sensor data from top sport athletes or also wheelchair top sport athletes. And can we identify, this is very rich data, and can we identify data patterns of movement and improve the wheelchair design or the way they train to improve the performance and also the health of the wheelchair sport athletes. But you can also think of a dashboard for healthcare professionals and remote care, and really use the data from smart devices, from heart rate monitors, and help the healthcare professionals, but also the patients to make data-driven, well-informed decisions. So in my opinion, it's not, we should not only think of personalized medicine and treatments, personalized treatments, but also think about personalized prevention and diagnosis. Nowadays, most of the time we just make a difference between male, female, age groups. Sometimes we take into account the weight of people, for example, if you think about medicine, the pills you take. But there's much more data we can use to make better, well, to improve the health, but make better decisions. And we also, if we gather that data or increase our insights, we should also think about the changing role of patients, and we want to, well, adopt the knowledge we are gaining, not just in the Bachelor of AI and Applied Data Science, but also in the bachelor programs, the master programs of our future health professionals. And then we have to think about, well, the fair data principles and the ethical issues related, but also about the changing role of patients. Nowadays, part of the patients are more proactive and well-informed, but we also should think about the people, the patient with low digital skills, low health literacy skills, especially in the neighborhoods we are working in. But we also should think of the digital skills of our medical students, our healthcare professionals, and also of the teachers. So it would be wonderful if the knowledge gained in this research group can be applied to the different educational programs in our university. So I'm very happy with your research group, Lampros, and also the researchers involved. And I think we can really, improve the impact and work on the health of our residents. Thank you, and congratulations already on your speech you had. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanne. If you please be so kind to sit here on this lovely sofa, I must say, then it gives me some time to introduce the other panelists. On this part of the sofa, we have reserved for Dr. Koen van der Bocht, who is a vascular surgeon. Yeah, please come forward. He's affiliated with, as a vascular surgeon / researcher for LUMC and HMC. Big round of applause for Koen. Yes. This seat is reserved for Dr. Adireza Etofagyan, who's head of business intelligence at Operos Health and AT Medics at the UK. Hello, please welcome. Professor Tilo Eldabi, who is a professor of business analytics and digital innovation, I must say, at University of Bradford, UK. If you please be so kind to join us as well, you get a big round of applause. It almost feels like the Oscars, right? And the Oscar goes to, yeah, I'm loving it. This seat is reserved for Dr. Davor Olic. He's the Chief Operating Officer at the International Research Center on AI under the auspices of UNESCO. Big round of applause also for Davor. Welcome. And here we have, yes, on this side we have Dr. Esther de Jonge, who is a senior researcher, of course, with the Data Science Research Group here at TUAS. Big round of applause for Esther. Such a lovely panel, don't you think? And also, I must say, there were two other wonderful persons that we had invited to join us for this panel, and I'm speaking to them, hopefully, because they're watching on the live stream. They were two Pakistani professors, two wonderful academics who would have loved to be here, and who, of course, were invited, but somehow, because of visa trouble, it couldn't come through. So I want to acknowledge them, Professor Saad Ahmed Kazi and Professor Saad Nazim Zafar, both from two different universities from Pakistan, but let's give them a big round of applause because we know they're watching. Thank you, hopefully next time. And somehow, because of the seating arrangement, we have like the health side of the panel and the other side. I want to start with the health side, if you don't mind. We're going to talk about AI data science for society, and then I don't think we have to convince anyone that that is a good thing to use AI and data in a healthcare setting. So I want to talk about what's holding us back, but not before. We've looked at a video that Koen has brought with him. Is there anything you would like to say before we look at that video? Oh, and I was told that we have microphones. Yes, so please, the switch needs to be up.
Thank you, and thank you for the invitation, and congratulations again. I think this video tells us something about the tsunami of diabetic patients which is reaching us at this point, not only in The Hague, but also in the entire country, in the entire world, and the challenges we have to deal with. And then I think after the video we can talk about the role of AI and machine learning to help us.
Let's do that. Let's look at the video.
One of the problems we are confronted with is the greatly increasing number of diabetic patients. And a complication of diabetes is blood vessel disease, especially in the lower leg. This leads to a decreased vascularization of the foot and the occurrence of wounds. And these wounds may not heal properly, and this may lead to amputation. Every 30 seconds worldwide, one diabetic patient loses their foot. This is the reason why we consider a diabetic foot a vascular emergency, and we treat the blood vessels immediately. Unfortunately, and this is the exact reason why research is so important, we lack the understanding in which patient the treatment will be successful and in which patients an amputation may be a better alternative at an early stage.
AI algorithms can help us select the best combination of these imaging and sensing modalities we have available these days in order to come up with a new generation of diagnostic tools for this disease. And that will benefit, of course, the lives of the patients as well as the healthcare systems.
So for this research, Veerle here already collected a large number of very high quality data. It includes, for example, data on lifestyle factors, treatment and care of diabetic patients. And therefore we would also like to use a combination of techniques, for example, prediction modeling to identify clusters of patients and to predict complications.
So before conducting our own research, it's important to find what has already been published in this field. Therefore, together with students from the Hague University, we looked at all available literature regarding diabetic foot ulcers, and we identified two types of data that can be analyzed in order to determine the likeliness of developing these ulcers, namely textual data and image-based data. From reading the literature, we identified the best algorithms that can be used to make these predictions, and the next step is to develop these algorithms further or to come up with better algorithms of our own.
On a global level, the use of artificial intelligence can help to predict the chances of diabetic foot ulcer healing. It can determine the value of endovascular or surgical revascularization for an individual, and it can help to predict the likelihood of preventing major amputations.
Such a great use case, I would say. Koen, what's the status? Is it conceptual? Is it already in use?
It's already in use. You've seen a couple of things in this video, I think, from local to global. If you talk locally, the patient itself, there are all patient factors which you have to take into account, other diseases, all with their own classifications, then wound classifications, which is already free with sub-classifications. So basically, especially for a surgical brain, it's too much to understand. So we need the data scientists to help us with that, and we're doing that right now. And then we're looking at the wound perfusion. You've seen state-of-the-art imaging techniques. We're comparing all kinds of techniques, which some of these techniques just give us pixels, and we don't know what these pixels mean. So it's another part, we need to understand that, and we need machine learning to help us with that. And then zooming out, we're looking at where do our patients live, what are their demographic factors altogether, which patients or which groups of patients or groups of inhabitants in The Hague are at risk, and then even more in the Netherlands, so we go slowly to a global level.
Sure.
And what treatment is feasible for this patient, what is clinically feasible and also economically feasible, because these treatments are very expensive. And then we're in the Netherlands, but what happens if you live on the other end of the world, where not all treatments are available?
Right.
And we're doing all these things together, so multiple projects. It's going very well so far.
Very impressive. And you mentioned patients. Susanne, you mentioned e-patients. How do patients typically react when the doctor says we're using AI and machine learning and data to treat you better? If you could pass the microphone to Sanne, thank you.
Well, I don't know about that because maybe that's a question for my colleague here. But we know that some patients go to a general practitioner or a hospital and they come with already a list of treatments they know that exist and say, well, I want this treatment, but sometimes, or the health insurance company doesn't pay for it, or it's not suitable. But much more often, I think, the patients listen to the specialist, and they take it for granted, or they think that's the most suitable treatment for them. But I think, as shown in this video, but also in the other video about skin therapy, there are so many factors that influence the outcome of the treatment. And, we all know there's a lack of health professionals, a limited amount of time.
Right.
So if there are techniques that help them make a better decision, it's beneficial for the healthcare industry, but also for even more important for the patients themselves.
Sure, yeah. And Alireza, I see you are head of business intelligence, so that's not AI or it's BI, right? Yeah, you also have a microphone. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this topic.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Shall I start with the presentation?
Yes, please.
Okay, great. So if that's a chance, I can have the control.
Yeah, we know who's in charge of the clicker.
Yeah. So I came really prepared for the talk. So when we talk about data analytics, business intelligence, the ultimate mission for any solution to connect business with data. And the question is how we merge, how we link business and data, and we fill the gap as such. So sometimes solution is like finding a needle in a haystack. It's not really simple when you work in organizations, in a mega scale organizations, and we have to provide a business analytics solution to bridge the gap. But when we gather the data, when we talk to technical team, the picture often is like this. So we have to go through several complications, business requirements and rules to come up with a solution. And then eventually, when we deliver the solution, it sounds to be really obvious. So the middle was so big and we found it. But in reality today, I would like to talk to you about the business intelligence solution we developed in-house, challenges, approaches, and also the benefit. I try to back up this presentation with a recently published paper with Hague University, with Lampros co-authorships, and Oxford University, and my academics colleagues in the university. And to create a concept of the presentation, we have measures in the first place. So I quoted Edward Deming's statement here that if we don't measure it, then even don't bother to manage it. So the first scope for our work is to have a data definitions, all of our measures in one hand, and also a repository of what we eventually want to monitor. And then the second principle is the technology. So now we are working and living in the age that the AI technology is more democratized thanks to the cloud architecture. But the technology should be less disruptive, compatible, and also scalable. We can't create anything that is not compatible or tailored to any aspect of business. It has to be less disruptive. And also the end users, getting the end users' acceptance and how they engage with the technology, that would be the key part to any solutions in their scope. So we talked about the challenges today, and data availability, particularly in the scope of NHS, is about how we gather the data, how we process the data governance, and data obviously is not in one place. Data is scattered across several sources. And also diversity of KPIs. Each organization has got several and vast majority of the KPIs, key performance indicators, how they have to be managed, monitored centrally, so on and so forth. And also the stratification of the data. The data sets that we are providing or we are working, are they adequate for the work we are working or the solutions we're providing or not? And then interoperability, that's the key problem we found in healthcare, particularly in NHS, that how we can query the data across several data sets when the clinical codes are coded differently within the system. So the EMS is one of the major vendor, clinical system vendor in the primary care. So they used to have a different coding mechanism, and then TPP is another major player in the game. So they have their different standard, but as of April 2020, they use SNOMED code CT. So that's a standard coding schema we have in several clinical systems. It creates us lots of challenges to convert our codes to the SNOMED, but again, we have a standard mechanism now. And about the company, so my name is Ali. I'm from the head of business intelligence of AT Group's Lampros Health. The company is the largest care provider to the NHS. As part of the company is the care provider. Along with providing the care, we focus on digital transformation across the NHS, and we accelerate the innovation in this scope. So 2 products are the key product we have at the moment. One is the Doctor IQ, it's the online consultation platform, several potentials of deploying AI, and also Easy Analytics, which is the platform I would like to take you through that. It's challenging to finish it in 5 minutes, but I will do my best. So apologies if I skim through the slides. So the company size, we have 620,000 patients, which is, well, now we are confident to talk about big data. These platforms are digesting more than 5 million aggregated patient data, so it's quite massive, the scale of the work. And also Easy Analytics, which is the business intelligence tool. The journey started back in 2015 with the University of Surrey. It was a KTP known as a Knowledge Transfer Partnership Project, partially funded by the Innovate UK, University of Surrey, and AT Medics. So at that time, we had the academics team, Lampros, and the rest of the academic team to help us with the knowledge of the project, as well as AT Medics as the business host. And then the first challenge for us was to gather the data and cross a unified form of business intelligence solution. After 2 years, we commercialized it as Easy Analytics. And then the second KTP, which makes our organization, is one of the unique organizations in the market, that we have 2 KTPs with 2 outstanding results with Anglia Ruskin University, and then later on machine learning aspect, which that's the screenshot of the modular platform we have for the different scope of the work. And then the approaches, as you see, is a platform for injecting data and inserting data from various sources, clinical systems, government sites, national sites, and as well as the business systems. We use Azure cloud-based technology, and then simultaneously we provide data for our business intelligence dashboard and external reporting. So, well, the benefits of the tool is vary, and I try to back it up with a recent publication we have, particularly in healthcare. One was the AI use cases we have for automatically de-risk patients on the anticholinergic drugs. Also, the diabetes care prevention and aid care processes we had, which help our organization to deliver the extraordinary results in long-term condition management, as well as the flu vaccination. We could use 34% increase in the number of jabs we gave in relation to the flu. And then lastly, the project we use for the frailty index, in the scope of frailty index and prevention in the UK. We are at the front line of the healthcare system. So this solution is not anymore a research topic or academic talk. It's basically saving people's life at a scale within the UK. Thank you very much.
Wow. Very, very impressive. And Ali, I saw some people taking pictures. Is there any way that you can share the slides, or is there?
The slide is proprietary. So,
okay.
But
no, it's also an answer.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, for the purpose of this talk, they are okay to take a picture. But in terms of advertising beyond,
all right.
Yeah, thank you. Don't use AI anymore on that.
I got you. Also from the UK is your chair co-person sitting on the same sofa from the University of Bradford, Professor Tilo Aldabi. Same goes for you. Could you please share your thoughts on this topic?
Okay, I had a presentation, or?
Yes, and by the wonders of technology, we just snap our fingers and there it is.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to congratulate my friend Lampros for the auspicious scientific rank that he has achieved. And also I'd like to thank The Hague University of Science and Technology. This is a fantastic venue, and all the good things that they have actually shared with us. I'm not a technical person in terms of analytics, so I'm not going to go into coding and programming. And on the other hand, I'm not a medical doctor where I can go into the disease, but actually I want to represent the normal person on the street, how they can actually benefit from the trend of AI. Right. Okay, my presentation is fine. I wish you consulted me about the picture, but I've got more white hair, I've got glasses. I will just pass that very quickly. Like I said, from the University of Bradford, it's just near Leeds. It's a highly dense area, very deprived, and will benefit from a lot of research in that area. But for today, I'm just going to look at what do we need from AI as people on Earth, globally and locally. I can see there's three main themes that actually, I don't want to scare people, but Earth is actually in a very critical situation in terms of food, health, and environment. And if there are any priorities for the utilization of AI analytics and methods, I think it should focus on these three issues. And I'm very happy to see there is a lot of work that's being done in the health aspect and the medical aspects, as I saw from this university and my friend here from the UK. But I think also food requires a lot of focus on environment. So from the University of Bradford perspective, we have recently gained a project for developing a master in applied artificial intelligence for deprived people and underrepresented communities that will give them scholarship to join the armies of AI people, but from an applied perspective rather than code building. In health, we have developed a number of simulation methods that actually linking to AI methods. And we are working, also we have a digital health innovation. We are allowing mid-tech, like small medical and health companies to come and try their work over there. From environment, I was working with Lampros in a long-term European grant, Designscapes, and that's also allowing small companies to develop AI innovative ideas for the support of people and the surrounding society. I mean, I was asked, what are the enable factors for AI? I think there are so many things, but I'll only talk about the first point, which is data management. I think a lot of people say that when they start writing papers about AI, there is a huge amount of data. But in the second sentence, they say, we don't have any data. So I think the data is there, but the challenge is, I know there are so many methods for AI, but I think the challenge is actually manipulating the data and preparing it for having a more efficient AI. And the last point, I'm just in this slide, is ends fit, which is artificial intelligence is no substitute for intelligent thinking. So the human intelligence thinking is actually very important. AI is not a replacement, but it's actually an extension of human intelligence. I think we should think about food, health, environment. These are the main things that we need to look at because they're actually very critical, and we need to create thematic research in this area. And the first point, making use of existing technologies. One of the issues is, I'm trying to do some work with my mother continent in Africa, and people say, okay, it's very hard to transfer the technology, and AI very sophisticated. It was mentioned earlier, 40% of the globe, they don't have access to internet. But in Africa, on average, everybody will have 2 mobile phones and maybe 2G or 3G. So these are sources of data. So we need to think creatively with our existing data before trying to think of actually developing a very complex technology. One of the issues, I think, the challenges of AI is actually over-expectation. I think sometimes we think it's actually going to solve our worlds and our problems, and we think more and more about what it can do. When the fax machine invented it, I think probably in the 50s or so, I wasn't born then, but people thought, if you put a cup of coffee in the fax machine, it will come out on the other side. That was their expectation. It didn't do that. So I think we need to be careful of what to expect. I think security is an issue. I think stuff like deep, I was watching a program about security and hacking, things like deep fake. Right now, your identity will be stolen, and you yourself will be stolen because you could be saying something that you never said. But some people actually steal your iris scan and create another you. So we need to be careful what we wish for, and I think we need to think of some of these storing capacities and some of that. And thank you very much. I hope it didn't take a long time.
Oh, yeah, thank you so much. And Just one question to clarify, because you are a professor of business analytics. Would you say that AI is a specific kind of analytics?
Yes, I mean, AI is, it's not, it used to be, you know, a chapter in a book about analytics, but I think now it cuts across all types, you know, of analytics, you know, the descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive, but I think more and more we'll actually want to use AI for the descriptive part, because, like I said, you know, we're having tsunami of data in different forms and you know, shapes. So AI sometimes, instead of giving us the solution, we probably want from it to make us understand the data before we even make a decision. I think humans are capable of making decisions, but it's the lack of understanding what is coming to them that sometimes could be the challenge.
Well put. Thank you so much. Moving on, we have Dr. Davor Olic. He is the Chief Operating Officer at the International Research Center on Artificial Intelligence. Thank you for joining us. Do you have slides? Or
I'm going to skip my slides.
You're going to skip the slides? Yeah. Well, that is...
okay, Mr. Chair.
You're very brave.
I don't want to bore you with slides. I'm sorry. I'm not, like, they're very packed.
Could you hold the microphone up a little bit?
Sorry.
Okay. So, tell us, are you excited about AI and data science for society?
Was thinking of this question, and then I got the slides going, and then I just realized that it's just too much to put into slides.
Yeah,
but
we've all been there.
But the idea is the following. I think now that the new chair is essentially in the UN family, right? It has this feeling, if I go back to the UNESCO point, why exactly UNESCO, right? So we're running a UNESCO Center in Artificial Intelligence, or should I say it's under the auspices of UNESCO. With our colleague Bano, we conceptualized it, I think maybe 3 years ago, and got it running 2 years ago. And it's been unbelievable. Just the last 2 years have been so packed that actually for us, it not being able to travel because of the pandemic and so on actually was a good thing. So we could just concentrate on literally replying emails and running projects. If you go to UNESCO in Paris, and you literally can go in a room that has been there for almost like 60, 70 years, and you can see those benches that have been worn out from people coming from all over the planet, right? So the decisions that were made there are just, when you think about it, are just sort of like overwhelming. And even when we talk about the United Nations, we don't really have a feeling of what exactly is it, and what do they do, you know? They're even more virtual than the virtual offices that we have.
Yeah, gotcha.
But somehow this transpires into this identity of society, and you meet people from all over the place. So a UNESCO chair in AI in the Netherlands, the beauty of it is that you literally have a UNESCO chair in AI from Palestine in the room, right? So people from all over the place have an equal amount or intensity of problems that we have here and that have been presented for, let's say, medicine and healthcare. Our job for the last 2 years was try and understand who is literally out there doing what. So we created this because we couldn't do it anywhere, any other way. It's just too complicated and too complex to understand who's who. Obviously, you have the research circles and the communities, and then people know people and so on. But what are the unknown unknowns? So we kind of created this top 100 list, we call it, because we have just no imagination of calling it any other way, right?
Sounds good.
And we created this list, and we asked the communities in AI and sustainable development to apply. And lo and behold, you have people in Kenya solving water management problems with satellite imagery, and then you have people in Slovenia solving water management problems with news items and text and analysis of that. So you have literally the same problems being addressed with two absolutely different AI or machine learning methods. But somehow there's still colleagues that they don't know each other, right? So how do you connect one person from Kenya with the Slovenian, and then someone in London, and then someone in whichever place? And that is the beauty of having this label of UNESCO. You can literally have a mandate for doing that, and you can approach stakeholders and you can work with them and speak with them. And what we've learned, for example, in Sub-Saharan Africa, a lot of people don't know that, but the communities in Sub-Saharan Africa are unbelievable. People are solving problems which is always localized, right? AI problems are always, well, the majority of them is local. You have all of the African languages being digitized now. And we in Europe, we had that problem, right? And we solved it with machine translation and whichever data sets and so on. And Banu was one of the first people funding through UNESCO, which is funny enough, right? Data sets in whichever languages, Igbo and so on. And by the way, I never knew those are languages that have 350 million speakers, right? So the market is enormous.
So a big part of your job is connecting people, connecting
projects.
people,
and there's probably, we can probably find even a joke, like how many UNESCO chairs in AI does it take to fix a light bulb, right? Probably a network of them.
Right.
So that's why we created a network of, centers of excellence in AI and sustainable development. And lo and behold, again, 40, 60 institutions, and the new chair is part of that network.
Right.
So what I'm trying to say is that I think the added value of this particular chair is not just for the Netherlands and the university, but it goes beyond. And it's not just, thankfully, it's not just reports and, can you add a sentence here and a chapter there? It's literally moving things and creating projects and connecting with industry and so on. And that is actually the good thing, the global perspective. And I would also, again, welcome you in the UN and UNESCO family of chairs and networks and so on.
Awesome, good job. And big round of applause, yeah. And that without slides, can you imagine? Right? No, good job, thank you, appreciate it. Esther de Jonge, Dr. Esther de Jonge.
Thank you.
I saw you in the movie, by the way.
Yeah.
That was you.
Exactly.
How do you want to approach this? Do you have slides? Do you have videos?
No, I only have 2 slides. Oh, I see that Hani already brought them up.
Yes, tremendous.
Thank you very much. Well, I was preparing this pitch together with Lampros, and in his inaugural speech, he already mentioned the importance of data quality. And when I think of the last few years and data quality, I come again back to the COVID registration data.
Right.
Can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So I would like to tell you a little bit more about a very small, local COVID data issue. So I chose this example because it's really a local issue, and I believe the solution might be global. What you see here is a map, obviously, of the southwest of the Netherlands, and I know we have some international guests here. So what you see in the bottom is the border between the Netherlands and Belgium, and that's important for this story. Because what you see here is the darker the color, the higher the testing rate, so the amount of people that got a COVID test. And for the people that are a little bit familiar with the Netherlands, the first thoughts were the parts of the Netherlands where most people lived, so with a high population density, the testing rate was very high in that areas as well. So it's very easy to come to misinterpretation basically of the data. So what people thought is, it sounds very reasonable, like a high population density that must have hampered the social distancing, what was an advice here in the Netherlands. So that was one of the main conclusions that was drawn from this picture. But then again, these data are collected in the Netherlands by the local health services of our municipalities. So for the Dutch-speaking people, they might know this as the GGD. They collect these data, and they have their own data scientists and epidemiologists. So they have been digging a bit further into these data. And what they observed is basically 3 things. That close to the border, the people that live close to the border, they didn't have a proper test facility at the beginning of the COVID pandemic. And so this graph is, I should have mentioned it before, it's from the beginning of the pandemic. And so when we were talking a bit deeper, we were digging a bit deeper into this, we noticed that people wanted to get a test. They simply went to Belgium, which is, it's very close for people living in the south of the Netherlands. But then apparently we didn't make any appointment with our neighboring countries about exchanging test results. And the second problem is that although we might have known who was tested, we have in the Netherlands 2 types of test locations. So one of them was facilitated, it was a governmental test location, so that was facilitated by the health services of the municipalities. But then, especially in the beginning of the pandemic, there were all kinds of other test locations. So for example, the hospitals or nursing homes or even a lot of commercial parties that offered a test. And then we have a registration policy in the Netherlands that only the positive test results needed to be reported. So in that case, I wouldn't say that the conclusions that were drawn from this graph are necessarily not true. It's simply the data quality is insufficient to prove that they are true. So Hani, could you go? Yeah, thank you very much. So I think for a part of this problem, there's a global solution. I think we really should start exchanging data with our neighboring countries. And maybe even more important, so at the beginning of the pandemic, we should have thought about one single registration system that is similar for, well, at least neighboring countries. So I think altogether that might help to protect all our citizens all over the world better to, in this case, infectious diseases. So it was a very small example compared to the great stories that the other people here told, but yeah, this was my contribution. And of course, Lampros, I'm very proud of you, so congratulations.
Awesome. Great job, Esther. Speaking of which, could you also do me the honor to wrap up this panel? Because you were the last person to speak, so you've listened to the others. Please
Definitely. Well, I was really surprised by the amount of basically stakeholders or people that we try to serve or that we collaborate with. So we ranged from, I think, patients, I've heard maybe clients, until even the normal man on the street, as you nicely illustrated it. And still, because we are serving so many different parties or stakeholders, we suffer from the same issues, I think. And I was really triggered by one of your quotes, saying, if we cannot, if I quote it correctly, if we cannot measure it, why bother managing it? I think we work a lot together with municipalities, and I would almost say we experience rather the other way around. So people really feel we need to manage something, but please, could somebody tell me what to measure? So that was what I picked up in this discussion mainly.
Yes, well, with these wise words comes an end to this panel discussion. Let's give them a big another round of applause. Thank you very much. And I know it was way too short, but I promise you that we have a coffee break coming up later on, and then people will know where to find you. For now, it's time to move on to the next part of the program, and that is an official part. So please, Davor, could you please stay with me? And the other panelists, you can take your seats, please. And I would like to invite back Dr. Minneman. And yeah, Davor, you can come on stage with me. Some people are thinking, what is going on? Yes, we have something official to announce to the world. We do that with a breakthrough technology called an easel. I'm going to get a microphone, Elizabeth, so that you can enlighten us about what is going to happen. It's a memorandum of understanding. Therefore, could you please stand on this, please? I'm also a choreographer for our photographer. What are we going to talk about?
I think I hand the microphone first over because we do it step by step.
Sure.
Yours is the last.
Sorry, what should I say? You're the boss, you need to tell me what.
You just explained your research.
Right. So what it is an MOU that we signed on behalf of the International Research Center in Artificial Intelligence under the auspices of UNESCO.
That was what I was hoping for you to say.
Thank you very much. With
the Hague University of Applied Sciences. And what we signed for is a cooperation that we, as I listened to you, already have and that you mentioned, but with signing it, we make it even stronger, and I think we sign with permanent marker. We make it permanent.
It is a permanent marker, yes.
I glanced at it.
That is so great.
Very
So
good.
I will take the microphone from you so that you can get this permanent marker. And by the powers invested in me, could you please sign this MOU so that the whole world can see that these two lovely, or three institutions, are going to work together on this grand mission. Nice. Davor, also, please make sure that we have a photo. Yeah. That is so great. And let's do one more that you both hold the MOU, so you can. So you can both hold this one.
You get the pencil. We get the.
Yes. Shall I write an amount on it? No. Okay. Thank you so much for this important moment. We were all witnesses of it. And congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yes. And now it's time for, well, it says a coffee break, but it's also okay to drink tea. Check out the posters. Feel free to ask the panelists. They have much more to offer, much more to tell. And please be back in your seats at 4:05. Thank you very much. And we're back. Yes, it looks like an extended tea break so far. But that's the whole purpose of today. It's not about sending PowerPoint keynotes, it's about having actual conversations, signing MOUs on the spot. Well done. Yes. We keep it on stage. Yeah, welcome back everyone. Hope you enjoyed the break, some leg stretching and getting to know each other. That is part of the reason why we are here today, of course. And they say good things come in threes. Well, this is the third part and the final part of the program. So what we're going to do is have another nice panel session and hopefully some audience interaction. Because so far, you've been sitting there very wisely, staring and looking interested, but it might be nice if you have questions for a panelist. It's okay to raise your hand and I'll come running with the microphone. Also, another warm welcome to the viewers at home. Thank you for staying with us so long. And now, without further ado, I think it's time to introduce the panel. And the way this is going to work is the same as the last session. First, we have an introductory address from the podium, and then the speaker will join us, and I'll introduce the other panelists. Banu, the name has been mentioned a lot already so far. Dr. Banu Nepane, he's Program Manager for ICT and Sciences and Open, with the emphasis on open access at UNESCO. Please give him a big round of applause so he can give the introductory address. Banu.
Thank you very much. You're a fantastic moderator.
I love you too.
Before I start, my congratulations to my good friend now, Lampros. He actually adds another, say, important element to the program that we are trying to organize and implement from Paris to serve the whole world. In fact, last year, immediately after the COVID pandemic, many countries hearing that there was a global call to open data came to us. And first question they asked that, there is a global call to open data. What kind of data that we are supposed to open? Whether or not, data that we'll open will serve any good at all to COVID pandemic. And similar others. So what we did was, maybe UNESCO should start, thinking a little more, say, logically on data as well as the openness thereof, and primarily also to feed the AI processes that were happening. You may all have been have read about the recent MIT report, which talks about billions of dollars were spent in developing apps, but none of them work to provide any logical response in our fight against global pandemic, primarily because the data sets that were utilized in training some of these AI apps were inadequate. So they say that, okay, and this is a very important point, they say that please have better data to train, your AI system. If there is no data, there is no AI. So that's the other thing, that we were receiving concern that many of the times when the AI systems are implemented, for some reason we end up not serving the group, and we started to call it data invisible group. So that's another thing. So all these thought processes somehow got converged into one thing, that we need to have a guideline for UNESCO, for member state, that member states can utilize. So UNESCO guideline on open data that is almost in the final stages of publication. So I think some of the panelists today will also provide some valuable inputs that we will put. But at the same time, we have got a vision, and vision is primarily to encourage and empower UNESCO member states to be able to measure aspects relevant to the SDGs, using data that is, but also to make the data openly available so that they can be processed and analyzed further for societal goods by anybody, including by AI systems. So this was, in fact, the major vision that we established, and we have got Category 2 Center that you saw IRCAI, and 3 data chairs, UNESCO chairs on data sciences. One is with University of Essex, the other one, which has just been established at Arab American University. You will hear from Mazdi, and the third one being, our good friend, Lampros. So there is a lot that Lampros and he's already leading a very interesting process to feed the concern from member states. Member states are no longer talking about 4th industrial revolution. They have already started to talk about 5th industrial revolution, which is much more human-centered AI. And where that data to feed that process comes from is the biggest concern. So there are certain challenges that member states have given to us. There are data which are not collected. How are we going to collect the new data? Collected but not properly shared, siloed or unknown, outdated, unreliable, or inaccurate. And of course, other problem which we have started to witness these days is in inoperable formats and not properly labeled. So unlabeled data is also a big thing, and I think many of our colleagues in AI have started to work on this. So there is an established definition, but to what extent this definition of open data, which is open data and content, can be freely used, modified, and shared by anyone for any purpose, including for AI systems, but how far this data set that we have adhere to the FAIR principle, which is findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. So this is a concern, that we have. So certain bottlenecks, also, came before us because there was a deluge of data, and I think a previous speaker already said that there is a lot of data. And the second point that we say that, but not enough data. Even for there are a bunch of policymakers have congregated in Sharm el-Sheikh as we speak here, talking about climate change data. And now, suddenly, AI system has detected that earlier we were talking about 1.5 degree rise in temperature. Now the AI system is saying that, unfortunately, the Earth will be warmer by almost 3 degrees, and we do not have anything to do. So entire data set that we looked at before needs to be re-looked again, reformatted again, and then, applied in the system so that this will provide wisdom that we can, in fact, take things forward. Now we have got certain concern, which I already said, like there are bias and discrimination, gender equality, data privacy, data ethics, legal concerns, and so forth. And then essentially to address that, what we did was, we came with a bunch of questions. And in this open data guideline that Lampros has also contributed, that it's tried to answer that how to encourage government and others to share data. So that's one thing. The other thing, how exactly to make, data open. It's a very simple step. What type of licensing regime, can be utilized to take the data open and for the benefit of AI system. How to create a data-rich environment, we do not know. Maybe many of the countries still do not know what data is all about. You have witnessed since this afternoon until now, all the examples that you heard, they were from the first world. What about, the concern from the third world, or, like if the developing country? This is like, we're talking about 2 different level playing fields. So somehow the chair on data science will have to help us reach out to those unreached. So that's where a lot needs to be contributed. And I think Lampros and his now, I think, a group of UNESCO data chair will contribute quite a lot in taking our effort in making data open as well as useful for AI systems. So thank you so much, and congratulations again.
Awesome, yeah. Well, great job. Thank you so much. Please make yourself comfortable on this sofa while I introduce the other panelists. We have Professor Oscar Gestrijn from the Data Research Center at the University of Groningen. Please give him a warm welcome. Hi, Oscar. Nice to meet you. Yes. especially for you. And we have also with us Anna Mitriaeva. She's Program Manager Research and Development at CBS, the Dutch Institute for Statistics. Hi, Anna. A yellow pillow for you, as you see that? Yeah. And we have also invited Dr. Aisha Nasir, who is Director of Research at Huawei EMEA. Hi there. Please make yourself comfortable. And this chair is for Professor Majdi Auda, who is Dean, Faculty of Data Science, and more important, or just as important, the UNESCO Chair in Data Science for Sustainable Development at the Arab American University, Palestine. Please have a seat. Such a wonderful group, and just like with the first panel that I had to say that the two Pakistani professors couldn't make it, this empty seat is also for a professor, not from Pakistan, in this case from the TU Delft. For other reasons he couldn't be here, but he did send in a video. So I'm talking about Professor Pedro Vergara from the Delft University of Technology, and he sent in a video to kickstart this debate. It's called the Data Less Project on Energy Transition.
I'm working on the Dataless project. Dataless project is funded by NWO, the Dutch Research Council, and the Chinese government. And the project aims to bring together Dutch and Chinese research institutions in order to tackle challenges related to the energy transition. The energy transition has clear goals. We need to reduce the environmental impact on the way how we produce and consume energy. This is done by promoting the installation of electrical heat pumps, PV systems, electrical vehicles, and small batteries. However, the installation of all these devices has an impact on the Dutch electricity infrastructure. This is the necessity of this research.
So if the war in the Ukraine has showed us anything, it is that we are still very much dependent on fossil fuels for our energy supply. Creativity is really needed to reduce this dependency and also to ensure that we keep to the Paris Climate Agreement. In this project specifically, we want to look at the renewable energy generation and the consumption thereof to ensure that there is sufficient energy that is being processed or delivered to the community and that it can be consumed at the lowest possible cost.
We can reduce the impact on the energy system due to the introduction of a large number of these devices. We can do it via coordination. The main challenge is how to coordinate a large number of these devices considering the resiliency in which the energy system should operate.
We will use data analytics, taking advantage of the various data streams that are accessible to us, and in collaboration with our colleagues in Tsinghua University, we will develop new methodologies and hopefully policy frameworks that will help increase the citizens' participations and finally acceptance and adoption of renewable energies. Countries around the world can benefit from the results of the project by using the developed methodologies and also the guidelines provided by the policy framework, and using the framework, of course, to come up with better and more effective policies for the benefit of the citizens and their communities. We'll be able to achieve faster and more effectively the Sustainable Development Goals set by the United Nations and also what they have signed up for in the Climate Agreement.
It's all about sharing knowledge, sharing experiences, so that other institutions can also use these methodologies, etc., to do better with data, with more data, or sometimes less data. Oscar, I want to give the word to you. You know how it works now. You have a microphone. Did you prepare a keynote, or?
Well, there are some slides, but I think we can also just have a short conversation. I was asked to talk about the things that I do with data or my organization, but first I would really like to start and thank you very much for the kind invite and the opportunity to speak here today at this great event, which is greatly organized in a wonderful venue. Congratulations on the achievements, and also I would like to reiterate that on behalf of my faculty and Professor Andre Zwitter, I'm working in his department, governance and innovation. And yeah, when it comes to the topic of today, maybe it is good also to share that at the University of Groningen, Campus Friesland, I'm working at an interdisciplinary faculty, and the things that we do are all interdisciplinary within an organization that, 400 years old university, 35,000 students, 9 faculties, 2 university colleges. So when we think about data science and what we can add to that topic, we really have to be innovative and think about new strategies how to do that. And this year we started with a program that is sort of maybe related to the work that is going on here. It's called Data Science and Society. And it is a program that is really pushing for the interdisciplinary aspects.
When you say interdisciplinary, what kind of disciplines are we talking about?
So on the one hand, it's like the traditional, maybe data science discipline skills that you would expect. So it's about statistics, programming, data visualization, also machine learning. But what makes it unique and when we are looking at the university landscape in the Netherlands, and when you see these types of programs, they're often either very technology and engineering focused or very focused on digital humanities. And that means you have a traditional discipline from which you start, and then you start to explore the issues. And what we're trying to do is also having interdisciplinary subjects such as science and technology studies, which is a mix between history, sociology, philosophy, but also the governance aspect, and have this, so this is the societal part of the program, so to speak, and that is what the students are learning at the same time.
Right. So also students of law or ethics, I can imagine?
No, they're bachelor students, so this is also something we think this needs to be at a very early stage of their education. And actually, I'm telling you this because I would like to make a broader point here, and I think this is also relevant in where we are together in this journey, and I think this is what we need to focus on. So what is a data scientist today, and what should a data scientist be going forward? Because I think 20 or 30 years ago, the answer to this question has been much more clear than now. And when I'm sitting here as a program director of this program, my background is law and philosophy. I have a specialization in European and international human rights law. I work on privacy issues for around 10 years. And I think also people like me increasingly have a stake in this type of discussion. And it's important to get the technical skills right, but what I think is also important for the discussion that we have today, or maybe a slightly critical point I would like to make, is that often it feels when we're having these types of discussions, we're looking at the technical capabilities which are there, which are being put out there by the private sector, which are being developed. But I think we are now at a point where we have to be much more demanding and looking at this from a, there are lots of ethical frameworks already there. It has been mentioned in the keynote that the EU is now working on the AI Act, so we also need rules. But most importantly for me at this point is that we develop institutional capabilities to really define which type of technologies do we want and for whom.
Right.
So there's always, there's always this cliche that the law and the regulation runs after the fact, and there is something to say for that. But at the same time, we also have to be more critical and I think more demanding when saying we want this type of technology and we want to design it in that way because we want to promote these types of values with it.
Right, that's a fair point. You mentioned data scientists. Someone once said that 90% of the time a data scientist is cleaning the data. And the other 10% they're complaining that 90% of the time they're cleaning the data. Is that true?
Well, I think it's a very good reference point to actually, there's also this quote that by Melvin Kranzberg that technology is neither bad nor good nor neutral. And I think this data cleaning point also points to the fact that actually we're working with something which has a lot of capability, but at the same time it's also a back and forth in how we shape it and how we use it. And cleaning also means that there are deliberate choices which are being made, right? So what is the basis for making those choices? What are the underlying rights, values, etc.? And I think this is just something to be very aware of, especially in an interdisciplinary setting.
Right. Yeah. Anna, how much of your time are you busy with cleaning the data? Because you work at CBS, the National Institute for Statistics.
Yes, I do. I think it's not only about cleaning the data, it's preparing the data. it's also about looking at your research question. So I think it's said that 90% of all work of data scientists is cleaning the data, but it's much more than only that. Yeah, and of course, as somebody from the National Statistical Office, I think that it's good that I will start to touch up on this topic of data.
Absolutely, yeah. And we have Hani, our magician. He will help you.
Perfect. So my name is Anna. It's a great pleasure on being able to speak today. So I work at Statistics Netherlands, the Dutch National Statistical Office, and our main goal is to provide reliable data and also objective information in order to support policy, decision-making, and facilitate public debate, contributing by this to well-being, prosperity, and democracy in the Netherlands. So now you understand a bit of our core task. I will further move to our relationship with AI. At CBS, we find it very important to stimulate and support use of the data, data science, and, of course, AI-based algorithms. CBS have a policy statement on AI and also established many partnerships in order to do it in the most optimal way. CBS data on a daily basis is used to create algorithms, including AI. And CBS itself is worth mentioning. We are also using AI, mostly on processing big data sources to create our statistical output and to optimize our statistical processes. As well, it's worth mentioning that CBS makes statistical use of AI by companies. As you have heard, and maybe you know it, that heart of AI is data. If you want to create high quality and fair algorithms, you need to have a representative data. Also, I would like at all time notice that AI, after all, is just a tool. You know, I like to make a comparison to a knife. You can use a knife to prepare delicious nutritional dinner and to treat it to your friends, family, loved ones. And you can use it to hurt or even kill someone. That's why it is very important that we are very conscious about the use of data science and AI. It has to be also socially acceptable. That's very important points. Realizing this, in 2019, CBS, in a collaboration with Dutch municipalities, academia, and other partners, carried out FAIR algorithm project, which aim to detect and prevent undesired discrimination on basis of, for instance, ethnicity or gender. During the project, we realized that fair, responsible, and human-centric AI and AI-based algorithm can be only gained in collaboration, which continued with civic society, business and industry, government, and, of course, knowledge institutes. And these collaborations need to have multidisciplinary character, touching various fields like ethics, privacy, data science, explainability, and, of course, transparency, and much more. But the question is, how do we get such a collaboration? And this question I like to answer with a quote, which personally I apply on my work and private life, and that's it. Start by doing what's necessary. Then do what's possible. And suddenly, you are doing the impossible. And I truly believe that nothing is impossible. Thank you for your attention.
Very inspiring. Thank you so much. One question. When CBS obviously deals with statistics, but you also have so much data. Now, I am, of course, echoing the words of Bano. We need open data. How much of your data do you give back to the to research institutions or the general public?
Yeah, that's a good question. What do you mean how much? We are supposed to give all data what we have.
Right.
In a form, what can be given back to society, basically everything. So we have open data, what we publish. So it's definitely published in the ways that non-individual can be recognized in that data. So in any way, and by individual, I mean private person, but also companies. Yes, but imagine there are research questions which need to be solved. Then CBS has for that remote access. What does it mean? So that for a certain research, data what needed would be given to certain research with certain aim to conduct that research within premises of CBS.
Right.
And afterwards, results of that research, cannot be disclosed information of a physical person or, for instance, company, cannot be used further for research. So if you would ask it in a way, all data what we have in secure way can be used for public good.
Very well, thank you. Moving on to Aisha, who is sitting also on the lounge chair, Director of Research at Huawei. You also prepared a little presentation, am I correct?
Yes, indeed. There is a small, promise not to bore people. But while he's putting up the slides, I would like to firstly congratulate Lampros. I've been knowing him for almost 20 years, and I have no hesitation in saying that he is a wonderful academic professional and an even more wonderful as a person. And my heartily congratulations to you, and I hope that you get more success than this. So thank you for inviting me. Thank you for inviting me to this very, how should I say, very valuable event, which coins within the European region, but also goes beyond the European region on the very important topic of AI, data science, and the ethical implications of that, which is very hot nowadays, and many speakers have mentioned the ethics. Myself, I am recently working on the ethical aspects of AI as the Director of Research for Huawei. I'm based in the UK, in their Reading office. And one of my major areas of expertise is the ethical implications. We started working on it almost 6 years ago, when the European Commission working towards the draft guidelines on ethical AI and trustworthiness of AI. And I did contribute with my team into the actual the draft guidelines and looking into the aspects that are feasible and which are not practical. So I will, if you want to connect, there's the LinkedIn barcode here, you can connect to that. And also, early this year, I have been honored with a global recognition of the top 100 women list for AI Ethics 2022, which was another very pleasing contribution from that perspective. So we have been talking about the data science and the trends and the issues within the industry and how the changing trend of open versus what it was used to be the closed data. The trend is there. Companies are opening up their data, governments are opening up their data, but there are a lot of issues that we already get acquainted with. There are issues related to the professional side, related to the legal side, related to the technical side. I won't go into the list because it's a lot. But having said that, there has been the GDPR as well. Me being as the GDPR certified professional, looked into the rights that it imposes on for the people. It never used to be like that. Now it's there. And that adds a bit more scrutiny and a bit more check on, and I would say positive resistance to opening the data. So when things have to be open, they need to be transparent, they need to be fair, they need to be ethical, they need to be respecting the human autonomy that Lampros mentioned earlier as well. The 5 principles of ethical AI. There are some global leadership landscapes. Within that, we have OECD. There are guidelines. So Davor mentioned one of the earlier panel speakers mentioned about the recommendations from the UNESCO that has been taken up, which are informed by the guidelines of the OECD, which developed their own recommendations from another angle. The GPI efforts, the European Commission efforts on the AI Act that Lampros mentioned, the ECAI, the AI for People, which is AI for EU, which is a landmark project from the European Commission. So lots is happening. The challenge is, how can we open the data, yet not compromise the privacy of an individual, yet not compromise the security of the data and the very, how should I say, sensitive aspects of the data. So that remains the challenge. And also within the European ecosystem of trusted excellence, this is the area where I'm working at the moment, and very aligned to the European Commission's vision on the ecosystem of trust and the ecosystem of excellence. When we talk about these 2 ecosystems, there needs to be a synergy between these 2 ecosystems to have a harmonized, responsible AI, to have a trustworthy AI, and to enable the rights of the people are delivered to them. There's no compromise on that. So on the left-hand side, I don't know which left you are looking at, which right? So the blobs, which talk about the OECD, the UNESCO, these are the different initiatives which are working on recommendations, on guidelines, and principles. And then the practice is at the bottom, which is the different standardization organizations, like DKE, ITU, ISO, IEC. Some of you might have heard of them or not. But these are the bodies who are actually working to realize the harmonization of standards to respond to the AI Act, the draft AI Act, which is going to be made practical in the next, and taken up in the next year or so. And on the other side, the right-hand side, how many of you have heard of AI Sandbox? AI Sandbox. So this is a very new initiative, and I would encourage the attendees who are interested in looking at the practical aspects of AI and bringing principles to practice, look at the AI sandboxing. The very first country, not in Europe, in the world is Spain. In June this year, they launched the Spanish AI Sandbox. Now they're looking at the legal framework, which would be completed in a month or 2, and probably by the end of this year or early next year, Jan to March, they would be launching a call for participation from Europe and beyond to participate in the AI Sandbox. Now, what's the purpose of the AI Sandbox is to actually trial the AI applications, the algorithms, the methods, the machine learning models that you produce, and other types of AI-related technologies to bring into the sandbox and trial them out. So it's kind of the testing facilities that can be used. I can talk about sandbox, but if you're more interested, just send me a link, or maybe I can correspond later. And this is the final slide. So from the AI ecology, and this is very much driven from the research perspective, within the AI ecology, you can see 4 different dimensions of blobs. One is related to the harmonization of standards, where I just mentioned that it's a request, it's a specification request to support the European Commission, the AI Act, in actually bringing forth the realization of the act using the standards. And also, Lampros mentioned about the benchmark. Some other speakers talked about the benchmark. How do we compare it with? Who's going to do that? Where's it going to come from? So these harmonized standards are going to produce such comparison matrices, conformity assessment, alongside which we can assess the validity, the trustworthiness of an AI model, algorithm, method, whatever you call it. Then there's the policy and regulation. That policy and regulation is related to the regulators, the policymakers, the people who talk about the consumer rights, and how they can be incorporated, how their concerns can be incorporated within the ethical AI research. And then the testing and evaluation facilities, which part of that is the sandbox. How organizations can develop testing facilities. How can I say my company's software is trustworthy? The healthcare, we talk about many diagnostic applications. How can I trust it? So there has to be some sort of governance mechanisms that can enable and ensure trust. And finally is the trusted outcomes. When we have all these other blocks put together in the puzzle, then there are outcomes. You have trusted outcomes. You can deliver the products and services and platforms and infrastructure as a service, a platform as a service, that can be trusted. It's not like I have, and this is an example I usually give to my audiences in my previous talks. I have this product, okay? I developed it, it's ready. And now I think about, can I make it ethical? Can I put trust in it? Zero. It's not going to work, that approach. I have to, before I even have a blueprint of this product, I should have the trust and responsible AI mind frame within my organization, within the culture of my organization, that needs to be implemented to say, yeah, oh wow, I have to develop a product. Let's look at the trustworthy aspects and responsible AI aspects of that. So the recommendation from the European Commission is to look at it. Ethics needs to be woven within the fabric of AI, not after development of AI. And this would be my message. Thank you.
Wow,
conclusion.
Good stuff, yeah. It's very powerful. So ethics not as an afterthought, but you should be ethical by design. Wow, you're
Yeah, I didn't want to use that term because it's been used by many organizations. So yeah, ethical by design.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have looked at security by design, privacy by design. So it's kind of ethical by design.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks. Thank you so much. Moving on, Professor Auda. Yes, we know how it works. A clicker and a microphone is all it takes.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Professor Lampros and Hague Applied University for the invite. I have tried to imitate an artificial intelligence algorithm to mine the words said in this meeting. And the first word was our star, Lampros. Yeah. The second was AI, data science. Obviously, I'm trying my best to avoid unconscious bias. In addition to congratulations, which I feel a bit worried about Lampros because everyone is saying congratulations, but actually I think it's God help you. In case because he's got a very large or a big responsibility of being part of the United Nations UNESCO institution in which he will need now to think globally in order to help out many other nations to go over the big challenge of how we can best use or the best way of usage of this big, large data, which is increasing in every day and every second. I've tried, can I move on? I've tried to be simple. My name is Majdi. I am a data scientist, or let's say a computer scientist from 2000 until this point. Our job as academic is to try to make things simpler. We tried, and this is a graph supplied by a book I like, on the data science process, in which we start with data cleaning, preparation. I've listened to the word cleaning, and then preparation. And here it's a preparation, then exploratory data analysis, then modeling, then application. And this is a very simple approach of a production of an AI system or a predictive model, etc. However, in the technical world, where people develop such system, where I came from as well, from a computer scientist point of view, planning, wrangling, modeling, and applying. And the big challenge is the second word, where some of me or others might use a dictionary. Wrangling is means involving in solving a very complicated argument. I mean, it's not cleaning, it's not preparation, it's wrangling. Where we all in this process and delightfulness that the UNESCO is taking us into this agenda, because the UNESCO is taking a holistic approach in order to get some value out of this at a global level. They have projects in open government, open science, open data, open AI, open solutions, which they have plenty of guidance to all nations around the world to make sure we can get the benefit from the data shared from all other nations. Some of these benefits increase collaboration among governments and within governments, improve transparency, public perception and confidence in government, increase entrepreneurship, save time in terms of transportation, support sustainable development, which is a very important aspect of the core values and theories of the United Nations and UNESCO. Less crime-aware citizens, self-aware citizens as well, and better decisions for everyone around the world, not just a few. And that is the key, let's say, aspect of this. However, we have plenty of challenges, which we will need all to sit down and think of solutions. New techs coming every day, IoT, blockchain, money transfers tech, generations of web, 1, 2, 3. Now we are experiencing the VR, virtual reality, augmented reality, and so on, which will have an impact on everyone. Government generations, we lived with traditional, electronic, open. We are coming into an age where meta government might be out there soon. Also, there's plenty of other challenges, such as the technical challenges, which is how do we share the data? The big challenge, I am really delighted personally to see a National Statistics Office was presented and present and talking about the role of the National Statistics Office. And every country around the world have got a National Statistics Office. How do they collaborate in order to make sure the exchange of data is as smoothly as far as we can in order to make sure we manage this. And I am sure every human being around the world now agreeing after the COVID-19, I mean, the exchange of data could help a lot and will help further in the future to make sure this exchange of data is moving as smoothly as possible. In addition to that is the last one I would jump to, the data quality dimensions, where this wrangling is going to take place. There is so many data quality dimensions, from accuracy to traceability, to make sure the data is fit for purpose. And we need all, to work together in order to make sure we provide a good data pools for better decisions and open as much as we can. Thank you very much.
Open as much as we can. That is well put. It's now time, your chance, to ask questions to our panelists. And Lampros, your name has been mentioned so often. Could you please also sit on the sofa? Because I'm sure that there are some people who would like to ask you a question. Let's see, who says something? I want to ask something. I see some hands. That's nice. Doesn't have to be a question. Could also be a remark or a compliment or an offering. Hi, I'm Jim. Who are you?
I'm Bob. I'm
Bob.
one of the researchers in...
Your name was mentioned also. Let me just do like this. There you go.
Hi. Yeah, so AI is a tool. It can be used for good and for bad. How do we motivate world citizens to use it to make a positive impact on the world instead of to make a new cat filter or something like this?
Yeah. How do we involve the right people?
Exactly.
Yes. Who can I give the word to? Yeah. Okay. Badu, you go first. Badu.
Okay, that's a very difficult question to answer. But what I will say you at the outset is there are still more than 185 countries with proper policy that can maximize the use of AI for the benefit of the people. Comprehensive policy. I'm not talking about disjointed policy, with the data sharing policy or this, that, and so forth. But AI policy that actually captures the full spectrum of AI for the benefit of society. That's the first thing. The second thing is we have got a very difficult knowledge about artificial intelligence, because if you go and speak to any minister, because we deal with minister all the time, they have got one statement to make that, okay, this is a panacea that we have found and it will solve all the problems. Mm-hmm. It does not. So I think someone has to educate people that AI has certain limit, and AI has also some bad consequences which the society may bear if it is utilized in a wrong way. So this thing needs to become a common knowledge, and this is not happening. The third thing, what is happening, and this is where there are several universities sitting here, and I think these universities have a role to play. Anyone, if you find someone, a good person working on AI in Burundi, the next day you find that person sitting in an office in Seattle. Hmm. The problem is, if there is any brain drain is taking place, this is where, and I'm sorry, I do not want to be, like all of you, who are renowned professors sitting here. I think, your origin is somewhere in Africa or Asia or in other developing countries around the world. So I think, this actually provides a trend that there is a lot of brain drain is taking place, but whether or not, these knowledge pools that are established in a very developed part of the world is siphoning back to where where it can make certain difference. So these are the three things which are absolutely needed. We need new policy guidelines. We need a mechanism that can network between these knowledge pools to where it does not exist. And third thing, we require a capacity building model that will reach out to developing countries. I hope I managed to answer.
That was great. See if there are more questions. This is your chance. Yes, Ali, please.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. Great topics, all panelists. AI is surely automating human intervention to some of the processes. How UNESCO address unemployment caused by an application of AI in process?
Oh, yeah. Yes. You want to give it a shot?
Oh yes, I think I will essentially go back to the same thing. We are asking governments to establish new policy, and this is the first point of our call. Have a comprehensive policy that delivers to your citizen, number one. Number two, what we are doing is we are now, bringing people. So Lampros is essentially a find. When the application came to us, we said that it should not be simply for data, but it should be for society. And we added that, concern for society. So we are doing that particular bit from our part. But I think the biggest, the lion's share of this burden essentially comes from the government. And I'm essentially saying that, like no matter who knows, what AI can deliver, unless the big cheese, sitting somewhere in the decision-making chair, understands what like THAUS, THUAS can do, or what IRCAI can do for the citizen. I think this is something that these people will have to understand and then convey that to society.
Yeah. And, yes, let's get the microphone to Aisha.
So I think the first two questions were quite related, and wearing a technologist hat as a technology evangelist, I would say the AI governance mechanisms play a key role into how they're used. Because you cannot, even though the awareness is generated, as you said, you still cannot prohibit the harmful impacts and the usefulness of AI, where the applications are used. The only way, one of the possible ways to date, present date, is to have or enable governance mechanisms. There are two levels of governance mechanisms, what is at the meta level or at the global level. It could be self-governance or external governance. So the governance mechanisms are very important to ensure that.
Yeah, I want to add to it. So I said that it's just a tool, all right? Look, first of all, when I see a tendency in some organization who say, oh, I want this AI solution. And I say like, why do you think you need it? What's your problem? What's your pain? Tell me that, and then we will talk about is AI is the best solution to solve it and the most efficient. Let us be very conscious on what we are doing. We are, for instance, as government organization, as society, we are there to improve and make life better. So let us do it in the most optimal way. Is it answer AI? Then it is AI. Is it answer just decision-making model? It is decision-making model. Is some problem can be solved just by dialogue and make a good agreement, do this dialogue and make a good agreement. So let us being just very conscious about what we are doing and not making it overcomplicated and just using some fancy technology just for some popularity. And where it brings us to values. Let us work also, one of the things is values. What do we put central? Some image, money, what do we want to gain? Profit? Or do we put as a central value life and better lives and value of nature, value of planet and future? I think it's also questions to have and time to look which drives us. And maybe it seems to you like very abstract talk of me, but think about what are you doing, each of you, every day. How do you make decision? Do you buy some product? Why do you buy it? Is it cheaper? Is it nicer? Is it tastier? Is it good for you? Bad for you? Just be conscious about, like if every of us would be conscious about what we are doing with our daily work, our daily private lives, what choices we make, what we are driven by. I think that's where we start, with our values.
That's a great contribution. Thank you so much. Yeah. Some people were applauding, other people were mentally applauding. Oscar, one question for you. Banu mentioned that the moment you have a student, and we have talented students here in the auditorium, once they get to know data science, they get the degree, there is a risk, or perhaps a chance, that they move to Seattle or Silicon Valley or other parts of the world. How do you keep them in Groningen? Or
in my case, it's even more challenging. I have to keep them in Leeuwarden.
Oh yeah, in Leeuwarden, the campus, sorry.
So the Dutch people will understand. No, I think there are two elements here. So the first element is that the community needs to grow. And this is actually something where I was really grateful about finding out about all the work that you are doing here, that we need more people in this space. And so that is the first thing. The second thing is we need to educate people in a way that they have a mindset which is essentially global. I'm a little bit inclined to answering to your question, because I think one of the challenges that we have at the moment from policy side is that multilateral dialogue is not very attractive. But it does not mean that things don't move into a certain direction. And one interesting example to look at is actually GDPR and how it raises the regulatory bar in terms of data protection. Because there's a professor at New South Wales in Sydney, Graham Greenleaf, and he keeps this table of how many privacy laws are there in the world. And in 2022, there are 157 countries, and the number is rising extraordinarily over the last decade, who have specific data protection laws. And I think this is good news. Most of them follow this sort of GDPR effect, but they don't do so because there is a political power that does that, right? So it's more like the appeal of the regulation and the rules themselves that do that. And there you even see that even if multilateral dialogue is, and it's always necessary that it goes on, but even if there is a problem there, then you still see that if we come up with good rules, if there are really like appealing examples to follow, then they will also find a way to actually change the situation on the ground.
Good point. Thank you so much. We've almost come to the end of the program. You know I had one job, right? Keep an eye on the time. I'm just scanning the room. If there's not someone, it's just, but I have. Yes, I knew it. Yes. Hi, your name, please?
Hi, I'm Jos.
Hi, Jos.
I'm Professor of Civic Technology in this university. Congratulations, Lampros.
Oh.
So one question there, we have been, several speakers have been talking about explainable AI as one solution to, for instance, ethical issues. Wouldn't you agree that explaining AI is intrinsically impossible, and trying to do that would inhibit progress in AI? And wouldn't it be better to focus instead on evaluating the outcomes of AI and maybe making applications of AI contestable?
Great question. Lampros, you can answer?
Yeah.
Yeah, you already have a microphone.
It's a great, it's a great discussion. This, and explicability is one of the ethical kind of underpinnings of any ethical framework, because if people know how AI works, they trust it more, and then they're more inclined to use it more, right? It has two things mainly. It's about intelligibility and accountability, right? So it is the case, especially with the machine learning algorithms, with deep learning, it's very difficult to understand how they work, right? Because they're so complex and very difficult. But if we can, I think what you described is just a substitute for explicability. Because, if you use the definition of explicability in a kind of by letter, right? Then it is what it is. Yeah, it's very difficult to solve it. But if you use the outcomes, and you can somehow, or statistically at least, be assured that the outcomes really tell you how the system works, you have some familiarity, some understanding of the system, then this is a good substitute for explicability, for accountability, and some way you can fool yourself to understand how it works, so intelligibility. I think that's the answer there. It's really an impossible problem to solve, yeah.
I'm guessing that you and Jos will be speaking during the borrel some more. Majdi, you are already, of course, the UNESCO chair in data science for sustainable development. How many years has that been the case?
I'm actually more recent than Lampros. In the last few months only, I've joined the UNESCO as a chair. We applied around a year and a half, and this took a bit of time, and we just got it like 3-4 months ago.
So you're both the new kids on the block.
Yeah,
Yes,
welcome.
yes,
Welcome
yes.
to the fun.
Isn't it great? Yeah. Because I was going to ask you for some advice, but why not? What is something that you wish that will happen to Lampros in the next years, let's say?
I do wish him the best luck, and I do ask everyone involved here to help him out in his role, because he's got to spend and volunteer lots of his time to think for the good.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Majdi. Appreciate it. And during the first panel, I had the luck that I had Esther sitting beside me who could wrap up the panel. So I think that we're going to keep that tradition. Could you wrap up this panel, please, Lampros?
Okay, I really enjoyed the panel. I think we have some great ideas here. First of all, I will be very quick, but we have, I think, the issue of human capacity, human capital is important. I think we lack experts in AI. It has been shown by questions, by a lot of points that people have made, Banu and Oscar in particular. And we need really new kinds of experts, really, because it's not really computer scientists that will do the job. It's not really social scientists. You don't need monoblock scientists or monoblock disciplines. You need interdisciplinary experts, and we lack this. And there was some time ago there was a talk by my friend Dimitris Tsopanakos from Deloitte, and he actually gave us a talk and said, we don't, if the social scientists are blue people and the computer scientists are red people, we need purple people, right? So this is what we need. We need purple people, right? People that understand both sides. So I mean, the human aspect is very important. So that's one takeaway message, I think, from this.
Is that what people call AI translators?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We need a kind of a range of, a palette of different kinds of skills, but different kinds of experts. I mean, not one kind of expertise will do the job. Even if it's multidisciplinary mix, you need varied mixes. And we are just starting. We need actually to develop this, and we don't have this capacity even in the developed world, not just never mind the developing world. So. That's one thing. I want to emphasize the need of data science and AI for understanding climate change, because the data is not there. We need to get to to have the right data for climate change. We're far from that. That's important. We cannot do anything with AI without having the right data, and that's really what we mean by quality. It's a complex issue. Quality of data is a complex issue. It has many different qualities, and actually having the right data is very difficult in most cases. But climate change is very important. Also, data for development is very important. And how can we have really open solutions for development? I think that these are two priorities from UNESCO that are very high on the list. Banu talked about data-rich societies. And the data divide, of course, developing countries do not have enough or good quality data. That's the case, the data scarcity, and that relates also to the energy transition, which need the data science, or to how to tackle the climate change. And actually there was a point made by Aisha, a very brilliant idea from one of the 100 brilliant women in AI ethics, right? Congratulations, Aisha, on that, because it's a recent, I think it was a recent award. About your idea about AI ecology. We need AI ecologies. I think that has come up also in our discussions on open solutions at UNESCO. And this is the way to go. You need AI ecologies, AI ecosystems that build the trust, and actually this includes the ethics by design. This includes this AI fabric, as you described. Yeah, I'll stop here. Thank you. Very good. Wow. Very good. Key messages.
Very good. Thank you for wrapping it up. Let's give a big round of applause to our panel members. Thank you all. And now there's only one more thing, Lampros, that's standing between us and the famous Borrell. I want to ask you to come on stage, and you guys can take your seats if you want. This is our music. We already did this. And I want to ask on stage Mr. Peter Vroom and Sanne de Vries, who we already saw. And of course, Elizabeth Minneman. Yes. Please join us on stage for the official inauguration. That is how it feels. And
it's like, like the knighthood.
oh yeah, we should bring a sword next time. Well, let's not. Okay. Hello, Peter. Welcome. Who can I give the word to?
Sanne.
Yeah.
Sanne, please.
Yeah. I just want to congratulate you again on behalf of the faculty and the Center of Expertise and our executive board. We have a small statue as a memory of this day, this very special day. So congratulations and good luck with your big
Thank you so
ambitions.
much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sanne, really very symbolic, important. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Peter.
And these are the board flowers we have.
Yeah.
He needs more hands.
Congratulations. Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I give them to your wife.
Yeah, thank you for the support and for.
Okay, I want to check with our photographer if he is happy with this photo. Do you have everything you want, or should we do it again? You're happy? Okay, excellent.
Already.
Do you would like to say something with the microphone so that people can hear you?
Thank you very much.
Yes, now it's on.
It's on now. I'm really standing in the way between us and the drinks, so keep it short. Lampros, congratulations on behalf of the Faculty of IT and Design. I think Lampros, we consider him as the gentle giant of data science. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And I would like to say just one word. I would like to thank you all, Sanne, Peter, and Elizabeth, and all the leaders in TUS that really supported this and helped this happen, really. I would like to, again, thank all the people that helped with the organization. It has been difficult, very difficult, sometimes to organize a kind of an event with so many people, sometimes flying or traveling from different places. So really big thanks to Jim, and last but not least, Karin. Karin, I think you have been instrumental in,
Karin, could you stand up,
in organizing this, and I really don't think that the conference would have been possible without you. And yeah, I would like to give you a little present as a token of appreciation. Yeah.
And with these almost emotional words, almost emotional, comes an end to this official event. Thank you so much for being part of it. I think we all did very well. Thank you for watching the live stream. And it's now time, of course, to go for the drinks. I think we say Efcharisto and Stini Chamas and Kalispera. Yeah. Thank you.
They won't mean much if I'm missing just one thing. I do not care if that day arrives. That dream need never be. If the ship I sing doesn't also bring my one true love to me. If the ship